What a headshot! What a head!
How's it guys, this is Dayvy, FPL, and welcome back to the Fantasy Premier League video here on my channel. Now in this video, I'm going to take you guys through my team selection for the upcoming FPL Game Week 4. So as we always do on these team selections, I'm going to take a quick look at Game Week 3, see how that game week got on. Spoiler alert, not a great game week for ourselves. Comment down below if it was a better game week for you, and did anyone actually get a green arrow? We're then going to turn our attention to the transfer plan before discussing our team selection heading into that Saturday deadline. Now if you guys do have any questions or transfer plans, drop them down below. I can try and help you out, otherwise always post them on my Discord channel. With that being said, sit back, relax, and let's get right into this team selection. So coming off the transfer plan that I recorded on Monday, obviously that was going to be before the Liverpool game, so the only insights that I can give you guys that are going to be new and fresh are going to be from those Liverpool assets. Luckily though, that was a massive fixture against United on Monday night, so there's a lot to talk about, to be honest. But besides that, as you guys can see on the bottom right, 43 points, but remember we did take a -4 hit after doing 2 transfers, and therefore we're going to finish on 39 points. That points total is going to take us to a game week rank of 6.7 million and an overall rank of 2.8. But as I said, after 3 game weeks, the overall rank doesn't really matter. I think around game week 10 is probably where we look at it from a more realistic point of view and discuss if we're where we want to be. So don't worry about it too much, and hopefully in the upcoming game weeks we can get back on that green arrow train. Now I'll be going over this kind of game week 3 quite quickly, as I've already spoken on most of these assets in my transfer plan that I recorded on Monday. So let's start off with the bench, and the only thing about the bench is that unfortunately my top scorers were basically on my bench this week. Andreas Pereira with 8 points and Leon Bailey with 5. The only interesting talking point here, I guess, is that Andreas Pereira created a bunch of chances for those bonus points, but then also Leon Bailey started that fixture. Now there has been some speculation about Bailey actually starting this weekend against West Ham, and that's when we get onto the team selection. I might actually play him, or at least put him first on my bench. Now unfortunately though, Aston Villa are not really playing that well, but it seems like Leon Bailey is coming off the bench in that EFL Cup game, and he's also scored a goal. So confidence seems to be quite good with Bailey, and that's why it might actually be a good thing that we held on to him. Going on to our starting 11, our starting goalkeeper Ramsdale managed to get us a clean sheet, but there's been some massive talking points about Ramsdale this week, because in terms of his bonus points and his save points, they've basically dropped off a cliff. Now the reason for this is basically that Arsenal's defense is a lot more solid this season than the prior season, and therefore Ramsdale is simply not getting the saves. So I guess it's a good thing because he's getting the clean sheet points, but it's a bad thing from FPL because you want your goalkeeper not only to get the clean sheets, but also get 1 or 2 save points and bonus points. Now I know that might sound a little bit greedy, but at the end of the day, we're trying to get as many points as possible, and that's how Ramsdale might be out on our wildcard. Going on to our backline, we've got basically the B in the backline stands for binary this week because we just have a bunch of 0s and 1s. Trent's going to be the new talking point, kind of covering that United game. Didn't really know how to kind of address it because Liverpool simply were terrible and United actually performed pretty well. So that's why Trent came out with 0 points. No, it's not because he didn't start the fixture. Similar to kind of Cancelo, conceded and then also picked up a yellow card. But overall, I don't really know what to kind of say about Trent because overall Liverpool didn't play too well, but Trent as well was pretty disappointing. But what I will say about Liverpool is that I'm fully expecting a rebound at Anfield this weekend, and therefore, as you guys know, Bournemouth is going to be a plum fixture for them. Going on to Man City double up, the only thing to kind of note here is that Kyle Walker had a very bad game. I'm expecting to actually be rotated sooner than later, and that's why I'm actually looking to transfer him out in our transfer plan. They go on to James and Cucurella. I just am hoping that Reece James starts at right wing back. I have no idea why he was starting at right centre back against Leeds, one of the most creative players for Chelsea's attack, and you guys saw how lackluster they were going forward. So let's hope that Reece James starts at right wing back in the future, whereas I think Cucurella, because of that Koulibaly red card, we might actually see him at left centre back. Ben Chilwell did actually come off the bench. I don't exactly know what to read into that. Is he fit to start? Maybe not, maybe he is. But as long as Cucurella is going to be playing, I'm fine with that. Then go on to midfield department, slightly better. We had some luck with Mo Salah racking up a goal and I think 1 bonus point, taking up to 8 points, double to 16, and therefore making him the best Camp C option this week. So his overall ownership and overall effective ownership wasn't as high as I was actually expecting, as I think he was captain by 33% of the overall ranks. Luis Diaz looked quite dangerous in that United game, but only had 1 or 2 chances. I thought the one chance that he should have converted kind of shot it straight at De Gea from close range, so my heart definitely dropped at that moment. But I guess the only thing about the Liverpool game that was quite good was my prediction of Liverpool conceding, and that's how I made the switch to Diaz over Robertson. But let's just hope that Diaz outperforms Robbo over these next couple game weeks. Then finally, Martinelli, not going to talk about him too much because he's just so consistent. He deserves all the praise he currently is getting. I just hope that he's going to be in that starting 11 for most of the upcoming game weeks. In terms of our forward line, 6 and 4 points. I think you can be disappointed if you captain both of these 2 players. Had great fixtures in game week 3, played well, the stats look strong, unfortunately the returns just weren't there. Now there's been some speculation about Haaland, Pep coming out after that game and saying with the midweek fixtures now starting, potentially Haaland might be benched for 1 or 2 of them, and that is slightly worrying. But I guess this might be one of those situations where we play him until he's benched, and even if he does come off the bench, I do expect the Norwegian to actually do quite well. Jesus on the other hand won't have to worry about his expected minutes, going to start every single game, at least of importance for Arsenal, and that's why I'm really happy to have the Brazilian. But overall wrapping up, this is where we kind of got the 43 points, minus 439 because we bought Cucurella and also Luis Diaz in this week. But comment down below how you guys did, and as I said, did anyone actually get a green arrow? But now that we kind of reviewed game week 3, let's go over my transfer plan. And as you guys probably noted at the bottom right, I have 1 free transfer and 0.0 in the bank. So no upgrades can be made, only downgrades. And that is slightly worrying when I do look at my transfers. Now the first transfer I want to talk about is going to be, we kind of ended off our team selection, our team review of game week 3 with the Norwegian Erling Haaland. Now the reason I didn't discuss this in the Ultimate Guide yesterday was because I knew I would discuss it in the team selection today, so if you guys have been waiting for this talking point, hopefully it's going to be valuable. Now between Haaland and Kane, the biggest reason that you might want to ship Erling Haaland out is because of the expected minutes. As I mentioned earlier on, Pep came out and said with the return of these midweek fixtures, Haaland's fitness and overall his injury proneness might actually keep him out of some games. Then on the other hand, you have Harry Kane, who probably will start every single game, even if he breaks one of his legs for Spurs, as he just is so consistent for them. Now when looking at the fixtures, Man City have Crystal Palace at home, Nottingham Forest at home, and then face Aston Villa away. Now all 3 of those games are really nice, except for maybe the Crystal Palace game, as they have been defending pretty well. But Nottingham Forest at home and Aston Villa away, I would want Haaland to start those games, as they're great fixtures on paper. Then looking at Harry Kane this weekend, Nottingham Forest away, that's probably the game out of the next 3 that you guys want to target. Next is the London derby against West Ham away, and then finally Fulham at home. Now the biggest thing for me, and the reason why I probably won't do this move, is I do think Haaland can still do well off the bench, and just the fact of the matter is, in game week 4, are you actually going to captain Harry Kane? As I mentioned, out of the next 2 fixtures, game week 4 against Nottingham Forest away is the best Spurs fixture, and if you're like me, I would probably captain Mo Salah anyway. And that's why I think the points gained from this move is not going to be up to scratch. And that's why I just keep hold of Haaland unless we get bad news about an injury, or maybe that Pep guarantees that he's not going to start. But you guys might have a different debate to me. Maybe your reasoning is slightly better than mine. I don't know. Drop it in the comments down below and we can have a little bit of a debate. The last thing I want to kind of touch on this transfer, and the reason I've left this last is because, yet again, we only have 3 weeks of data, but currently Erling Haaland is performing a lot better in the stats than Harry Kane is. But as I said, small sample size, only 3 game weeks, but it is what it is at the end of the day. Now the next transfer I want to talk about is going to be about a very popular transfer in this week, and a player that I think is going to be absolutely explosive over these next few game weeks, and that player is going to be the Croatian Ivan Perisic. Now as I mentioned with Harry Kane, the next fixture, game week 4, is an absolute plum fixture for them. Nottingham Forest are terrible from an XG point of view. XG conceded is off the charts as well, and therefore Ivan Perisic is due a haul. Now we saw in game week 3 how integral he is going to be to that Spurs attack, and we saw Conte with some positive comments after the fixture. Now Nottingham Forest is a great fixture. West Ham have not been playing pretty well. Fulham is going to be a newly promoted side. Although they've been attacking quite well, I do expect Spurs to keep a clean sheet and potentially Ivan Perisic to get an attacking return. But similar to kind of Haaland versus Kane, we're going to kind of talk about Perisic in the Haaland point of view, because I don't exactly expect him to start every single fixture. But then again, he doesn't even have to start every single fixture to get a massive haul, and that's my similar thinking about Haaland, is that even if he doesn't start every single game, the games that he does start have a massive potential of points. Now you guys might agree with me, might disagree with me, you might want to go for a sensible option, that's 100% fine, but I do think Ivan Perisic is probably the number 1 transfer in for game week 4. But I've just spoken about, I don't have any money in the bank, and only 1 free transfer, so I can't really do any gymnastics around my midfield and my forward departments to get that money, so the only free way I can do this is to downgrade one of my premium defenders. So you guys know I have 3, I've got Cancelo, I've got Trent, and I also have Reece James. So out of those 3, I do think that Reece James is probably the most likely player to depart my team, and that's just because of the fact that he's starting at right centre back. Now I do expect him to play at right wing back, and that's why I'm a little bit put off this transfer, as I do think he's going to start at that more advanced attacking position, and therefore that should equal more FPL points. But yes, this is going to be one of those options that I can actually do for 1 free transfer, and this would depend, as I mentioned on my transfer plan, on good and bad news. I need bad news about Reece James. Maybe Tuchel comes out and says they're going to be going for a back 4 or back 5. Reece James is the best right centre back to actually go for. He's never going to start at right wing back again this season. And then I need good news about Perisic of a potential start, or maybe Conte praises him in the press conference. Now we have been getting some very good news about the Spurs lineups before the fixtures actually kick off, and therefore those projections have actually been pretty strong. So this will be a transfer that I might lead to the deadline stream just to see what's kind of happening. Spurs only play on Sunday, so that might put a span in the works of those projections, but we'll just see how it goes. But right now what I will say is that I'm a little bit put off this move just because Reece James has massive potential, as we know in FPL, and Ivan Perisic might not start every single fixture. But yet again, do we really care? But now I'm going to kind of expand on that second transfer plan revolving around Ivan Perisic, and let's just see what we can do if we want to take another hit. Now I know what you're thinking, another -4 hit, 2 game weeks in a row, but I guess we're setting the team up for the future, and I do think Perisic could even pay off that -4 in that fixture against Nottingham Forest. So let's just say that we do want to downgrade for a -4 hit. What 2 players could we actually take out? Well, the first player, which will kind of be our cash cow, is going to be Leon Bailey from Aston Villa. So if I do downgrade Bailey to a 4.4, that'll give me 0.5 to upgrade one of my 5.0 defenders. But which one would you guys go for? So the 2 options are going to be Kyle Walker from Man City, and the second option is going to be Cucurella from Chelsea. So I spoke about Cucurella in the transfer plan, about how the Chelsea defense did actually not look that great against Leeds, and therefore Cucurella at that stage was going to be my transfer out. But now thinking about it, I actually do think Kyle Walker in that Man City side might actually get rotated sooner than later, and that's why he's probably going to be our transfer out this week if I do take a -4 hit. I just kind of feel like the ceiling with Kyle Walker is going to be 6 points. If he gets 1 or 2 bonus points, that's great. But I just think from an attacking point of view, in this new style that he's been playing, he's been almost playing like a defensive midfielder. But the only thing about this is just look at those Man City fixtures. Absolutely prime fixtures. I think the defense should keep clean sheets, and therefore Kyle Walker could actually get some more points. But you guys know why we're doing this move. It's for one man and one man only. It's going to be Perisic from Spurs. Now the only reason I can actually do this move is that there have been a couple of price changes, and now we have some 4.4 midfielders. Now out of those selections, it's not many to kind of go for. I think the one's going to be Cafu from Nottingham Forest. None of these 4.4s play, and therefore you can kind of go with anyone you want. So yes, this will be a transfer plan for a -4 hit if we do want to bring in Perisic, and I do slightly prefer this because then we can keep Cancelo, Trent, and also Reece James. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think? Which of these transfer plans would you go for, and what transfers are you planning for Game Week 4? Now the final talking point we're going to be going over is going to be the team selection for Game Week 4, and the most realistic kind of transfer plan this week is actually going to be to bank a transfer. You guys will see this after I kind of go through this team selection, that the starting 11 actually looks pretty strong, and therefore, as I said, the most realistic option is simply bank for Game Week 5. Starting off with the bench, as I mentioned with the kind of Game Week 3 team review, I am upgrading Leon Bailey to first on my bench just because I don't really favor that Arsenal away fixture for Andreas Pereira. Now will Bailey start, will he not? Some predictions say that he actually will, and West Ham's defense has been pretty bad this season. But unfortunately Bailey, I can't trust him over my starting 11 options unless maybe we get news about Kyle Walker or maybe Cucurella. Then moving on to our starting 11, we've got Ramsdale on goal against Fulham. Now I'm slightly worried about this fixture because I know that Arsenal defense has been rock solid, but Fulham's attack has been better than expected. But let's just maybe hope that Fulham get a penalty, Ramsdale saves it, gets a clean sheet, and then the bonus points, because that seems to be the only way that Ramsdale could get bonus points this season. But I'm still quietly confident. This is a home game for Arsenal, and as I said, that Arsenal defense has been pretty strong. Moving on to our backline, our sole Liverpool defender is going to be Trent against Bournemouth. Now, if you guys do have Andy Robertson, I would just simply keep him. If you guys did watch the Ultimate Guide yesterday, Bournemouth's XG is simply terrible, and that's why this might be the best chance for Liverpool clean sheet. Now, as I mentioned earlier on, I'm expecting a reaction from Liverpool after that United loss, and that's why I'm really comfortable keeping my Liverpool assets. I'm slightly comfortable with the next 2 defenders, Cancelo and Kyle Walker against Crystal Palace at home. Now, I'm actually slightly worried from a defensive point of view because, as you guys saw on the weekend, Newcastle played pretty well. Crystal Palace is a side that are also improving from last season to this season, and that's why I'm slightly worried about that clean sheet. Added to that, I'm slightly worried about Kyle Walker. Is he going to play? Is he not? I guess we'll see who plays in that friendly tonight against Barcelona. But this is Man City at the end of the day. This is at the Etihad. They're a great defensive side, and therefore these 2 players should get a clean sheet. The next 2 players, though, I do think that this fixture is going to be great for them. If you guys also watched the Ultimate Guide, as I mentioned yesterday, Leicester's XG is pretty bad, and therefore the chance of a Chelsea clean sheet looks pretty strong. So Reece James and Cucurella, I'm just hoping that both of them start at wing back, Cucurella on the left, Reece James on the right, because that'll be absolutely magic. So big hopes for these 2 players after bringing Cucurella from -4 hit. Hopefully he repays that this week. Going on to midfield department, we've got the double up of Luis Diaz now and Mo Salah after I made that transfer or that switch from Robertson to Diaz last week. Now Bournemouth's defense is actually slightly better than people might think, but I do still think it's at Anfield. I'm expecting a reaction from Liverpool as I mentioned, and therefore Mo Salah and Diaz should hopefully get some attacking returns. Another player I'm hopeful of is going to be Martinelli, and Fulham actually have a worse XG conceded than Bournemouth do. So we spoke about this in terms of the Jesus or the Salah captaincy, but we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So yes, Martinelli hopefully continues this streak of scoring, but he is also becoming less of a differential as most people are jumping on him. Going on to our forward line, Haaland against Crystal Palace, expect him to start. Don't really think he's going to play tonight in that Barca friendly. And as you guys know with Haaland, he's been getting quite unlucky in these past few game weeks, mainly due to Foden on passing to him across goal, and I'm hoping that he can get back into the scoring way of things like he did in game week 1. Talking about the scoring way of things, Gabriel Jesus against Fulham, in great form, Arsenal looking strong, and therefore I do think Jesus will do quite well. But at the end of the day, everyone kind of owns him, so the points gains on Jesus won't be that much. Now the final thing to talk about, as I mentioned in yesterday's video in the Ultimate Guide, who's going to be your captain for Game Week 4? Now 100% Mo Salah will be the most captain option going to Game Week 4, and I'm also going to be on him. Now while I do like Jesus and a play like a Haaland and some other fixtures, I just think Bournemouth at home is too hard to ignore from a Liverpool point of view. So yes, if you guys are going to captain someone other than Salah, you probably have a lot of courage and a lot of guts, but I genuinely think that Mo Salah is going to score the most points in Game Week 4. Now, if you do disagree with me, comment down below. Who are you guys actually going for? Is it a differential like a Kevin De Bruyne, or are you also going safe with the GOAT that is the Egyptian king? But this is basically up the video, guys. Hope you did enjoy it. Please don't forget to like if you did and subscribe if you're new, subscribed yet. I'll be seeing you guys hopefully for a deadline stream 1 hour before the deadline on Saturday, afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you guys are around the world. But I'll be signing off. It's been Dayvy FPL, and I'm out. Cheers. Bye.